We have one with us tonight. We have Judge Jack Wilson of the Court of Appeals. Judge, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
And I must tell you, as a lawyer, it's a little weird actually asking questions of a Court of Appeals judge, but like I said, thank you for being on. Now, you're currently the judge for District 3 in the Court of Appeals, right?
That's correct.
So most people will never write or ever brief or anything in front of the Court of Appeals. So I thought I'd give everybody a little brief description of the Court of Appeals. So the Court of Appeals is an intermediate appellate court for the state of Mississippi, and it was created by the legislature in 1995 to release some of the backlog of cases before the Mississippi Supreme Court. So I'm going to have a little bit of a civics lesson here and to tell you how it works. And Judge, interrupt me anytime if I'm wrong on any of this. So I think I'll just use an example. So say you're hit by a car and you sue the driver's insurance company. Well, you end up going to trial and win. However, the insurance company feels there was some error in the trial process and appeals the decision. So that appeal first goes to the Mississippi Supreme Court, right? It goes automatically there. And then they pretty much have, the Supreme Court has pretty much three options. So they can either, one, deny it completely, which would uphold the trial court's decision, I believe. They can hear it themselves, or they can send it down to the Court of Appeals. Is that pretty much how it works, Judge?
Yeah, usually in a case like that, the Supreme Court can either keep it and decide the case themselves, or they can send it to us. And there are a few categories of cases, death penalty cases, utility rate cases, that by law the Supreme Court has to keep. But I would say 80 to 90% of any other type of case, which would be the vast majority of cases, they send to us. And so the Court of Appeals ends up deciding about 75 to 80% of the appeals in the state of Mississippi.
Really? Wow. Now, there are 5 districts in the Court of Appeals. Each have 2 judges, right?
Correct.
And you're with District 3.
Right.
Now, what all area does that cover?
District 3 starts here in Madison County. I have all of the city of Ridgeland, most of the city of Madison, and some of the outlying areas. And then it kind of heads east and goes through Rankin County. I've got all of Rankin County. Goes east all the way to the state line to Lauderdale County. And then goes north to Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, that area. And even goes south a little bit. I've got Smith and Clark and Jasper counties and a little bit of Jones and Wayne County.
Right. It's a pretty large area. I was looking at the map. And they can go on your website. So you have the map on your website, right?
Absolutely. JudgeJackWilson.com or my Facebook page has the map on there.
Absolutely. And you can go to that website for any information they want to find. If we don't cover it here, they can definitely go to that website.
We've tried to update it with some good information.
It's a good looking website. I looked at it today. It really is.
Thanks.
Now, you live in Madison and you have a wife and 3 children, right?
I do. I've been married for 15 years, and I have 3 small children who are 5-year-old twins and a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Who are ready for the election again.
Absolutely, I can imagine. I bet they're waiting for it to be over.
They are. They've enjoyed campaigning, and they've been good. They love going door to door, and they like going to festivals, but they're ready for it to be over.
I can imagine so. So now, even though we have these districts, you hear cases from all over the state, not just your district, right?
Right, that's right. Once you're on the court, it really doesn't matter which district you're on. Cases are randomly assigned, and all 10 of us vote on every case.
Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about your experience, which is quite impressive and extensive, I must say. So, yeah, you went to undergrad at Ole Miss, right?
I did. I started at the University of Memphis, but graduated from Ole Miss with an accounting degree.
And then actually went to Harvard Law School, which is, I think you told me your LSAT score, which is way up there. So why Harvard?
It was an opportunity I didn't want to pass up. My wife and I got married right after we graduated from college. And it was kind of an adventure to move off 1,400 miles away where we didn't know anyone. And it was an experience and an opportunity I wouldn't want to pass up.
Absolutely. Now, I usually think poorly of Harvard lawyers, but one of my legal idols, Robert Bork, used to teach there. So not all people coming from Harvard are bad. But I want to talk a little bit about your time at Harvard. You actually worked on the Harvard Law Review, right?
Right, that's right.
And now Harvard Law Review is pretty much the premier law journal in the country. Can you tell people a little bit what you did as an editor of the Law Review?
Yeah, as an editor, you get chosen usually after your first year to work on it your second and third years of law school. And, you choose, or you help select the articles that will be in the Law Review, and you edit those.
Right.
And it's kind of an interesting process where some of the sort of preeminent law professors from around the country submit their articles to a bunch of law students to decide which ones get picked. And so working on the journal was a good experience, and it's you you end up working and talking through legal issues with a lot of really smart people. You know, the people I worked with on the law review, a lot of them went on to clerk for Supreme Court justices and have done, you know, kind of amazing things since they left law school. So
Right.
it's really the fun part is to work with a lot of those, you know, really
Right.
smart people.
And speaking of what people did right after, you actually were pursuing out of law school. You actually clerked for the 11th Circuit, right?
I did. I clerked for a judge on the 11th Circuit who had has now been a federal judge for, I believe, 45 years.
Wow.
He was a state court judge before that, and his name was Gerald Choflat. And he was on the short list of judges when Justice Kennedy got appointed to the U.S. Supreme
Wow.
Court. And
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time he was kind of discounted because people thought he was a little bit too old and might not serve
Yeah.
long enough. But
Mhm.
he's still serving.
He's still
today,
going at it, yeah.
30, almost 30 years later, and I think he probably would have been perhaps a better appointment at that time.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your time as clerk? I mean, a lot of people don't know what a clerk does and all that.
You know, I have 2 law clerks now, and,
Uh-huh.
you know, they do similar work to what I did for Judge Choflat.
Uh-huh.
Law clerks, it would be great if a judge could write every opinion that he writes from start to finish, from
Mhm.
first draft all the way to the end. But in federal courts, and particularly in our court, we just decide too many cases
Right.
to do that. And so typically, like, you know, for example, in my chambers, I write, you know, from the first draft of approximately half the opinions. I do
Mhm.
the first draft all the way through the final draft of all my dissenting opinions that I do.
Right.
And my law clerks typically, you know, do maybe a quarter
Uh-huh.
of the first draft of the other majority opinions.
Right.
And you know, I certainly sit down with them before they get started and give them a general idea of what the opinion should look like, and I edit it as well when they're done. But they're, you know, they're an essential part of what we do.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of research. I mean, you really have to get in and dig in with the law, and
Absolutely.
that's really, you know, you actually were out there with that judge, helping them write the opinions. It's probably helped you tremendously now as a
Right.
Court of Appeals judge. And just so everybody knows, I just had this quote here from Judge Soflat and what he had to say about you. He said, "Over the course of a year, one of the things I admired about Jack was he didn't have an agenda. He took every legal problem and looked at it the same way that a neurosurgeon would look at x-rays in the MRI of a brain, and then brought all the skills he had acquired, and he is still acquiring them, to the task. So it didn't matter what kind of case we were working on, he brought the same kind of devotion to the job." And that kind of brings up something, you know, one thing I really like about you is you're not really a politician. You are, you know, a judge. You know, I think we have too many politicians that are judges now.
Right.
Um,
I'm definitely not a politician.
You
I've
know.
learned as I've gone.
Absolutely. Were you part of any big cases there at the 11th Circuit, or?
You know, the year we were clerking, it was 2000. This was 2004 in Florida, and we were wondering if we were going to get some more election cases because,
Right.
of course, it was a presidential year, and we didn't. One that was kind of moving quickly and that was in the news a lot was, people may remember the Terry Schiavo case.
Right.
And that was going on the year I was there, and so Judge Choflat wrote some dissenting opinions in that case that I worked on. And there were some other interesting cases that involved the Commerce Clause and whether Congress had sort of overstepped its bounds. And,
Mhm.
but really, you know, a wide variety of civil and criminal cases
Right.
during that year I worked.